Car Con Carne is still in quarantine. Oh, yeah, these shirts are now available on the homepage of carconcarne.com. I'm James Van Oslo, Car Con Carne, Quarantine Con Carne, sponsored by C&H Financial Services. As business owners continue to open back up to serve their communities, they're faced with a lot of challenges as they navigate through this new normal brought on by the coronavirus. C&H Financial Services is here to help. They offer a variety of products ranging from traditional merchant accounts to a zero-cost payment processing solution, which eliminates the expense associated with accepting Visa, MasterCard, Discover, and American Express as a form of customer payment. C&H Financial Services eTab solutions, easy to set up for your business for online ordering and curbside pickup. C&H also offers cost-effective commercial lending programs, which can help get your business the money it needs to make it through these unprecedented times. To learn more, contact C&H Financial Services at 800-555-600-2437 or go to chfs.us. My guest tonight, my God, it's been a while. His name is Mike Bratton. Back in the day, kids, back like 6.5 years ago, Car Con Carne was a co-hosted venture. Mike and I started this podcast ambitiously out of my car. Mike handled all the audio production. It was a very different thing, and things evolve over time and change over time. But I have not had you've not been on Car Con Carne, this thing that you helped found for like 5.5 years.
I know. Has it been that long?
I can tell you, I've got a spreadsheet of this stuff.
You know what? I saw the like repost of the history of Car Con Carne the other day, and I was just like, oh, I'm walking down memory lane. And then I looked really closely at like the time from when we started it to the time that I left. And I was like, wow, that was really short. I'm glad to see that you were like, what's that?
Relatively speaking, it was. But in podcast years, the fact that we did it together for a year and a half, that's a long time in podcast years. Because most people, I found, and you've seen it too, people will start podcasts because the barrier for entry is really low. Anyone can do it. Lots of people start them, but they get about 6-7 months in and they're like, yeah, I'm out. They don't see the return.
I am done with that.
Yeah, there's no revenue, there's no audience. And you think, wait, I spent 3 hours editing a podcast episode that 50 people listen to. Yeah, fuck this. I'm done. I can't.
I'm out.
Yeah. So here we are all these years later. The reason why you left, well, the reason you told me is that you were moving to New York. You are in New York, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That wasn't a cover story.
No, it wasn't a cover story. I'm in New York in my lady closet right now. So
you are in a lady closet.
I am. These are sound absorbing clothes over here. So,
I knew because you're a professional voiceover guy, because you're an audio guy, no matter how good I had my audio rig set up, yours was going to sound way, way better. And it does. Well, even your lighting's better. You got this all figured out.
But otherwise, I look like I'm in a dark, dark hobbit hole if I turn my lights off in here.
But I'm guessing you probably spend, because you were a voiceover artist, you probably spend your entire day where you are right now.
Pretty much. Yep.
So you got to get it right.
Yeah. At least, 75% of the time.
So you moved to New York. I still hear you. Well, I heard you on the radio before coronavirus because your voice is on like every concert tour spot. I hear you on like a Korn commercial or a Smashing Pumpkins commercial every now and then. And I would text you like, that was you, right?
Yeah. Like, yes, that was me. I mean, that was so much fun doing all those things too, because it kind of like keeps me connected to doing all the concert stuff that we would do at the radio station, like at Q101 or at the Zone. But and those things just come in like bang, 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 bang. It's like, okay, Marilyn Manson, you're doing 50 dates, and then you have to just like knock all those things out. And then when everything shut down, it was kind of like, ooh, what's going to happen with all these things? And so they're trying to kind of like reconfigure tours way into the future. So we'll see what happens with all that stuff if they even come back and advertise. But
I do want to say we're live on Facebook right now. Our mutual friend, a very dear soul, Tim Virgin, says, yay.
Hey, Virgin. I miss you.
He's the best. I miss Tim too. I mean, I'm in the same town, but we don't get to see each other outside of Zoom chats now. It's there's no man hug, there's no fist bumping, there's nothing going on with me and Virgin right now.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
But we work together, which is delightful. So I guess since we're talking about voiceover, how is the business for you right now? Are people still?
It's pretty good. Like I'm in a fortunate position that I have a a large number of like long-term contract clients and stuff. So I do a bunch of radio stations, I do a few TV affiliates, I do a couple of TV networks, I do some long form narration shows, and then just whatever else comes at me. So in the beginning of this, it was I actually kind of like booked a couple of new shows that are coming up on like Discovery Channel and stuff later this year. But ever since then, it's been crickets. And that's partially, me, because I haven't been able to focus as well.
I think that's true of all of us, isn't it? I mean,
well, yeah, I like live in a fog. We all live in a fog. And now I have, we're in a 1,000 square foot, 2-bedroom apartment. And I use the word bedroom very loosely. In Brooklyn, and we now have 3 humans and a 60-pound pit bull all on top of each other.
Yeah.
All day, every day. And so like basically Tina has her office set up in our bedroom, and I'm in the closet as I usually am. And then my son is doing his thing when school was in his bedroom. And then the dog went all over the place.
Yeah, it's tight. It's tight.
It's tight. And so because of that, like my wife has like a very regimented schedule for the most part throughout the day. And so I have my stuff just comes in whenever, so I basically became like the teacher, cafeteria lady, the recess helper, and and then just the dog walker. Like that was all my stuff to do. And then right, I still have work to do also.
Right.
So I haven't been able to focus on anything. So getting new work is rather difficult right now.
One of my thoughts when we hit COVID-19, when it looked like, okay, we're all going to be stuck home for a while, I knew that the only way to keep this podcast going, keep whatever momentum I had going, was to do something different with it. Mm-hmm. So moving it to this nightly thing from home it served 2 purposes. One, keep it alive, but also give me something to do. Because I knew going back to that idea of focus, I knew that I would need to have something I could zero in on. So I'm not doom scrolling through social media. So I'm not endlessly scrolling through Netflix looking for something to do. It gives me like a fixed position on my calendar, whereas nothing else is set in stone for the foreseeable future.
Right.
I had to do it.
Doom scrolling is my new favorite phrase, by the way.
I love it. I guess it used to be known as hate reading, or I'll do that too. I'll before bed.
I think it used to just be scrolling through social network, but now everything is doom. So what else are you supposed to think of it as?
I'll look at my tablet before I go to bed. I like reading before I go to sleep. And sometimes I'll go on sites and I'll start looking at comments. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? I can't. I'm going to have bad dreams. I'm going to be having an awful night of sleep. I can't do that anymore.
No,
it's terrible.
No, and that's what I wind up getting myself into. Is I'll sit there and it's like, it's already midnight. Tina's finally wrapping up with work. The boy's been asleep for a couple of hours at that point, and then I'm just kind of like, okay, I'm gonna stay up for a little while, play some Fortnite, read Twitter for a little bit, and then the next thing I know, it's 4:00 in the morning. I'm like, oh fuck, what did I do to myself? And then to top it off, then like I go and get in the bed, and 30 seconds later, Dad, I can't sleep. And then, like every night. So both the kid and I have like these massive bags under our eyes. I'm wearing my glasses to try and hide them at the moment. But
this is why Daddy drinks.
Yes. so much so.
So have you dipped your toes back into podcasting at all since?
You know what? Yes. Very, very briefly. By the way, I wanted to represent with the shirt tonight.
I love that.
Quick side note. Speaking of merch, my son, I told him he vaguely remembers Small James from when we lived in Chicago, and he called you Small James because he was way into Thomas the Tank Engine at the time. Yeah. And there's James on Thomas, so James the train was Big James.
I can't.
And
compete.
You were Small James.
Yeah.
So I would go recording with Small James, and And so he kind of sort of remembers that. And then when I re-explained everything to him the other day, and was like, yeah, we had a podcast, and and my friend is still doing it, and it's like wildly successful now that I'm not on it, and it's like really great. It's like and I said, and so he has merchandise now. So I bought the shirt to to support everything. And he looked at me and was like, "You are famous, Dad. You have merch." And I was like, I'm not famous. Okay, thanks, buddy. Yeah, all right. Because he watches all these god awful YouTube channels and stuff, and they're constantly hawking their wares.
Speaking of Thomas the Tank Engine, which is one of the worst kid shows, on the other side of that, Kim Possible, big fan. But Thomas the Tank Engine, have you seen the episode where a train misbehaved or transgressed in some way, and he was entombed alive to like live out his final days in basically like a train grave?
Yes, that was one of the most disturbing things I've ever seen. I don't think they show that one anymore, at least not
I don't think so either. You can find it on YouTube. It is the darkest. I mean, it's like a Bauhaus album. It is so
super
dark,
distressing, and it's kind of great. Like you kind of want to show that every once in a while, and your kid's acting like an asshole, and just be like, "Hey, have you seen this episode of Thomas?
You'll be
Watch
buried
what
alive."
happens to him.
I want to show you. I just saw this right before we got on. This is like the best news headline you could possibly find. Tell me when you're seeing this.
That totally makes sense. Oh my God. Horror movie fans coping better with the coronavirus, study finds.
No, it's the New York Post. Take it for what it is. But yes, horror fans do have a better shot of making it through the coronavirus, just because we've been preparing our whole lives for this. We watch people in the most horrible, worst case scenarios.
Oh, totally. But I really was expecting more zombies. I mean, and also I expected the zombies to be, I don't know. I just find that right now there's a level of stupidity that just, it seems to be worse than the zombies. I'm kind of like wishing for that right now.
As things started breaking bad and heading toward our current dystopian state, I always had the inclination, I really need to catch up with Mike. I need to check in. I need to do I need to do a wellness check on Mike, because you've always been Chicken Little, the sky is falling.
Literally like, every time
gaming in your head, the worst possible scenario. And anytime something horrible happened, I'm like, I should do a wellness check. I got to make sure that he's not
like
cringing in
there's
his
constantly
corner.
a text just ready. It's like, oh my God, I'm starting to fog up my glasses. I got to take them off. And actually, there's been a few times where I've sent you some of those messages in the last few months, and you haven't responded. And I'm like, oh God, I broke him.
No,
I'm so sorry.
Okay, that's fair. And in all honesty, total apology. I suck at texting. I'm terrible at it. I don't like doing it. It's distracting, and it's not that I don't care about you, Mike. Sometimes I'm terrible at it.
I can't talk on the phone.
Well, here's the other thing too.
Talking on the phone. I just can't do it. I talk all day long on this thing. I don't want to talk to anybody.
Here's the other thing, and it's almost embarrassing to say, but I literally have nothing to say anymore. Like, I'll have people ask me, "What are you up to this weekend?" I'm staying home.
What do you think?
The same thing I've done for the past 5 fucking months. I'm not going anywhere. Nothing new happens. I watch some new stuff on Netflix. I listen to the Sandman audiobook on Audible, which is awesome, but that's really about as new as things get with me.
Got a nice pork butt, gonna put it on the smoker. That's about it.
Done some smoking too. But by the way, that Sandman Audible, the production, James McAvoy as Dream of the Endless, so good.
I'll have to check it out.
It is. I didn't love the comic the way some people did, because I thought the art was really distracting. The Audible version of Sandman, it's worth the free trial if you haven't signed up for Audible yet. If you have Audible, it's worth the money. It is as good as it gets. But that all said, I have nothing to say, and I try not to be rude, but I'm kind of tapped out. I think we all are. So please, no disrespect.
No. I just at this point also, like, I have plenty to say, but lots of people don't want to hear it. But my family is so tired of me and all of my various rants that I have every day. Like, yep, okay, Dad, all right, great. What was I gonna say? But I really don't think that my imagination could have ever created anything that is worse or weirder or scarier than this whole situation. And so, I think my lizard brain that used to just find find humor in, the like, oh, that's it for us monkeys thing is just like, I can't process humor out of this anymore. Like,
well, I think one of the most telling things of this whole pandemic is that the creator of Black Mirror said straight up, yeah, I can't create anything right now. There's nothing I can do that can measure up to this, that will be enough of a distraction or enough of a difference from what we're currently experiencing. So he just put Black Mirror on ice. Like I can't do it. Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, in my wildest dreams, when I switched the podcast over to this at-home model, the quarantine model, who would have ever imagined? I truly thought by June at the latest, we'd be out of this. This is the 102nd episode done outside of the car. 100 seconds.
Wow.
Like I started the year.
I applaud your stick-to-itiveness, by the way.
Well, thank you.
That's phenomenal.
I started the year with the band Yes Factory, the Rockford band Yes Factory. First show of the year was at Superdog. That was episode 300. I'm now on episode 419 as of tonight.
Wow.
Who knew?
Holy
Who knew? And once I set my mind to it, it's like, well, this is what I'm doing. I'm just going to keep going. And
well, it's fantastic. I'm so happy for you that you've been able to do that and parlay it into something to do and something fun also.
Although you can appreciate booking guests is always hard. That's like the most challenging
I figured you had a pretty tough time finding somebody for tonight if you needed to give me a holler.
Not true. Little plug here coming up tomorrow night. The Websters, Chicago band The Websters, will be joining me. We're going to debut on carconcarne.com their brand new song and video. Friday night, Steve Karras. He is a documentary director. He most recently directed About Face. He'll be joining me. Next week, Chris Franz of Talking Heads will be on the show.
Yes.
Chris Franz.
Nice.
Psychedelic and Funkadelic, Chris Franz. Also, Empirical Brewery will be joining us, and the return of Hope for the Day, a really fantastic suicide prevention charity based here in the area. So it varies. Some days there are Mike Brattons. Some days there are Chris Franzes.
Some days there are people who are like actually well known and stuff. So,
well, let's get a little nostalgic.
It's like who cares? I'm just super happy that I get to talk to you and see your beautiful face that I haven't seen in 5+ years now. So,
God, it is true. Let's look back a little bit. When we started this thing, what were, be completely honest, what were your expectations?
Barbecue, and just shooting the shit. Like I never anticipated like money or it being anything. I had hopes, I suppose, but I'm just kind of like, I don't know, podcasting, whatever. So I kind of felt like it would be something, and I felt that there was like an interesting spark to it. So that's why I'm glad that it has it has continued on and has become something unto itself, larger and everything. But yeah, no, I had no idea what to think about it really. It was just it was so what's the word I'm looking for? It was just very ethereal. Like it made sense, but it also made no sense.
It was like a hobby. Is what you're saying.
Sitting in the fucking car, talking to each other and eating food and rating it. And it's like, who are we to rate food? We're just two people who like food, but which I guess that's who we are, to rate food. But it just kind of felt
I'd forgotten that we actually rated food. Like that was part of the podcast.
Oh yeah.
Like that is so far gone from my memory pods. Like I guess we did do that in the beginning.
Yeah, we were pretty brutal about a lot of it too, because we were so hyper focused on barbecue.
Yeah.
Which, really at that time there were so many restaurants that were starting to serve barbecue and all that kind of stuff. But you basically had like the South Side Chicago specific barbecue, and then you had like some smattering of stuff from all over the place. And some restaurants, had all of it in one joint.
Some combo of Memphis, Kansas City, and Carolina.
And so it was just like, it was a little. I'm glad that as we moved on, we started to kind of figure out like we've gone a little too niche with this. We got to kind of like broaden it out to get, different types of things. I think we started that with like some Korean taco place that was on the north side.
Yeah, in Granville. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think one of the best lessons I learned from doing this podcast with you and after you left as well, having the courage or just wherewithal to audible and change and be flexible, be able to pivot. Like if we'd been so dead set on barbecue only, okay, that would have been a great 2 years and it would have been done.
Yeah.
I think in any venture, especially some startup that doesn't have a whole lot of branding or isn't totally entrenched in the world, take chances, shake things up. Don't lock yourself in. That was one of the biggest lessons I took away from all that. I was looking historically at Car Con Carne. On this week, 6 years ago, the two of us were recording with Steve Gadlin.
Yes, that was one of my favorites.
I've had him on since, most recently maybe a year and a half ago. Steve Gadlin, who was the I Want to Draw a Cat for You guy who hit it big with Mark Cuban on Shark Tank. He's done a lot of harebrained ventures since, and I feel like if anything, he's doing more of them now. Maybe I think
what's the newest one? Oddbox, is that it?
I don't even know if he's still doing that. I did the first month of Oddbox subscriptions where he just sent basically a box of shit, including a really weird T-shirt to your home. Now he's got like a web series where he speaks in a weird Polish accent, and it's like a variety show, like a cable access variety show. That's on Facebook Live. And then I saw he just posted like the theme song for a sitcom that doesn't necessarily exist. That's weird. But another thing he created, I think, since you and I interviewed him, was an idea that I think should be brought back. I forgot the exact name, but it's 2 movies, 1 T-shirt, where he will print up a T-shirt with the names of 2 of your favorite movies, because you can't just pick one favorite one.
Right.
So for me, it'd be like Escape from New York, 12 Monkeys. That'd be my shirt. Or It Follows and The Invitation. It's a great idea.
Yeah, Willy Wonka Star Wars, for instance.
That would be you, exactly. So it's funny. I mentioned this earlier. You took so much time and care into editing each podcast episode. That's your thing. You're an audio guy.
Sometimes way too much time.
And I realized shortly after I started shouldering this all myself, I don't have time for that, and the return on that investment it's not there. We're just putting it out there. I'm going to lop off the front, lop off the end. I'm going to edit in my head as we go. And what it is what it's going to be.
That was the best decision ever, by the way. Like, as soon as you said that, you're like, I'm not editing anything. I was like, yeah, that's a great idea. Why the hell didn't we think about that?
No, I need to get better with things like compression and effects and just balancing out sounds. But yeah, just trimming off ums and chewing sounds. It just is what it is. It's just,
yeah. But we were pretty
it's a podcast.
Gross, like we were way up on Mike, like, gnawing on food. So
a lot of ribs. I really thought we made it back in the day. I thought, well, this is it. The big time is surely upon us when we had Hot Doug. I'm like, we have Hot Doug for a guest.
Yes.
Like, this is it. We've arrived. We have Hot Doug.
I was so excited when we had him on. And then, and where did we go? We went someplace in like the South Loop, right?
Pork chop.
Yeah. Which,
Pork
as
chop?
I recall, wasn't all that great. Or pork shop, was it? Or pork?
No.
Yeah, it was, because it was like one of those shoppy. It was like SHOPPE, wasn't it?
No, hang on. No.
Oh shit, I don't know.
It was just called Pork Chop because Pork Shoppy was over by Kuma's.
That's right. Okay.
And that place was on Belmont. That place was really good. But Pork Chop was kind of brutal. Hey, we had some bad meals. We had
in fact, was that the one that where we had to, after it was over, we had to go and get hot dogs at a nearby hot dog shop? That was also. I'm pretty sure we did.
That's possible. Maybe that might have been like a Jim's Original trip or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
So, do you miss this? Will you come back?
What, the show?
Yeah.
Yes, I missed the show. Of course, I would come back in a second.
Do you listen? Be honest.
Yes, I do. From time to time. I'm not regular with podcasts in any way, shape, or form, and I should be. Like I'm bad about it. But yeah,
Well, it's
I
hard
do
to
listen.
find podcasts to lock into, and especially now. Well, especially now when no one's commuting.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Is like I can barely commit to like sitting down and watching a TV show for 25 minutes, like I'm not even watching commercials. I'm pulling it up off of Hulu or whatever. And I can barely commit to that kind of time frame because I just can't. I have so much shit occupying my head all the
Yeah.
time now that I just can't put anything else in it. I've sat down now to try and start reading the new Mary Trump book, like, I don't know, 10 times, and I'm about 10 pages into it, if that gives you any idea about where my headspace is right now. Like,
I discovered this is something I'm assuming a lot of media people already knew about. There's a thing called NetGalley where you can request, if you're a media outlet, you can request advanced copies of books for a review. That's how I got hooked up with Chris Franz of Talking Heads.
mm-hmm.
But now I'm getting all these books to read. So
That's fantastic.
It's wonderful. So because I'm at a point, and I posted something about this recently, I need to detach from news,
Mm-hmm.
social, everything
Mm-hmm.
for a big chunk of time every day. It's just as messed up as things are, as we continue to wind our way through this collective trauma, I just need to not hear all the noise.
Yeah.
Pay attention to the noise. And sometimes the best way to do it is just that draconian, I'm cutting myself off completely. I'm walking away.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes self-discipline doesn't work in that regard.
It's so hard to do. Like my version of that is always like bike rides, like 3, 4, 5, 6 hour bike rides if I can handle it. But because no one in any normal time that totally works is because like Tina and Elliot would go and do something for a few hours on a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning, and then I could go and like I'd leave really early so that I could be back by like 1.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe meet up for lunch, or everybody comes home and we all hang out the rest of the day. But now, because nobody is leaving the house, I can't, like, I feel, and like, so Tina's like, her schedule is so tight throughout the day. And then Elliot is just here.
Yeah.
That that I like her routines of getting out of the house, like going to the gym, doing yoga, like just leaving the house to go to work, like all of those things are so gone now, that I can't. I feel like tremendous guilt asking for even like 2 hours or a 2.5 hour, like just a jaunt, a bike ride or whatever on a Saturday or a Sunday, just to get away, like, and because that's my way of clearing my head and stuff.
For sure.
And so all of those things have kind of gone, my outlet for that has gone away. And that's okay. I'm not blaming it on anybody or anything like that. It's just like, I just put that on myself. It's like, I can't ask, my family to just sit at home and wait for me for 5 or 6 hours at a crack, on a Saturday, because daddy needs to clear his head,
Although daddy needs to clear his head.
He does. Yes, it's true. But I can get a partial clearing in like 2 hours. It's fine,
And again, this is why daddy drinks.
Yes, and all of my glasses are empty now.
They are. It's so funny. When Mike and I started talking before we went live, I noticed he was drinking a cocktail. And then a couple seconds later, he had a big old dark beer in his hand. I'm like, are you like, two-fisting?
Wait a minute. What's going on there? I'm sweating like I'm in a sauna right now.
Because you're in a room with no ventilation?
That would be it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we can wrap this up.
No, it's fine.
Well, at some point, I need to turn this into a podcast episode.
Oh, right.
But I find you delightful and wonderful, and I miss you terribly.
Same.
And it's been 5.5 years since you've been on Car Con Carne, which is just
I find that insane. I find that completely and utterly insane.
And
it has to stop.
Here's the crazy thing. I realize in having you on tonight, there are people who, I've been doing this solo longer than we did it together. So there are people who are watching or listening who have no idea that you were even part of this.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to me.
That's the way things happen, I suppose. I don't know.
That's where to me, it's not apples to apples, but it's like people who never realized that Lollapalooza was a tour.
Right. Well, but I mean, your version, not your version, the version. No, the Car Con Carne now and Quarantine Con Carne is now a completely and wholly different entity than it was when we were working together. So, so it's, if anything, that was just like the trial infancy period. That was, we were fostering a puppy together, and then the fostering situation didn't quite work out. But then you just decided, you know what, I can adopt a new way of doing this, and you did, and it's successful and amazing, and I'm very happy for you.
Well, thank you. And although that right now there is no car and there is no carne.
No, that part makes it kind of weird.
It's just a con. Is what it is.
It's all a con. Everything is a con.
That's all I have left. And the irony, of course, the podcast has never been more successful than it has been since the core concepts were blown out in COVID. I've never had as big an audience as when I completely obliterated the concept of the show to keep it alive.
That's fascinating. But I mean, but that kind of makes sense now. Because now, okay, so like you said, the construct of Quarantine Con Carne is like, it was ostensibly to give you something to do, like, and it's appointment doing as opposed to like appointment viewing, like old TV shows and stuff like that. And so for you, it gives you something to do, and now you've also given your audience and also a newer audience something to do and look forward to at the end of each day.
I like thinking that is true. I like thinking that I have I provide some kind of distraction through all this mess.
Yes, relief. We all need relief in some way, shape, or form or another.
I wouldn't even describe it as relief. Just something else to do. Something that's not doom scrolling. Something that's not shaking your fist at the clouds. Just people talking. All right, so I'm going to wrap up the social media broadcast of this thing. Thank you, everybody, for watching there.
Thanks, peeps.